Oh,
and having some kind of repertoire, some kind of tools, how
mm,
to work with my own emotions, how to change my own feelings, my own thinking. So that then is seen directly in the work with the kids.
wow, that is amazing. So, not sitting on your laurels, but wanting to grow yourself makes that difference.
Exactly, exactly. I think so, yeah.
Wonderful.
Otherwise, teachers can be very quickly also in a projection, like towards we have towards adults. You know, I get upset with something and then I find the fault with others. So with children, you could do the same. Oh, this behaves like this, so I get upset, so it's your fault, the kid's fault. But then no, the kid doesn't have the capacity at the moment to behave in a better way. So how can I respond to kind of change the attitude of the kid to make it,
Lovely. Wow.
yeah, very nice.
Wow. Okay, we might be coming back to this later,
Good.
but to start, we've got to start the talk. We're now just
Right.
6:30. Thank you for the chat. Welcome to the Inner Space Covent Garden talk. Our talk today is motivation to keep going, how to stay on track. Motivation is the fuel that drives us to go from for our goals and to accelerate to our success. But how often do you are you excited at the start of things but find it difficult to stay on track? There are days when motivation runs low, when laziness creeps in and distractions pull us off course. What do you do when motivation is hard to come by? Do you provide the carrot before the stick? Keep your eye on the prize? There's many ways. So today we've asked our speaker for his tips on how to strengthen our focus, push through challenges, and keep our motivation going so we stay on track. Our speaker is Matthias. Matthias is joining us from Switzerland. He is a headmaster and is currently and has been as Matthias is now a headmaster and has also been a stress and resilience coach. But he also organizes our activities in Zurich, Switzerland, for meditation and personal development. Matthias is going to be sharing over the next 40 minutes or so, and then he's going to guide us through a very short meditation. And the idea is to take some of those thoughts and allow them to sink deeper into our being so that they're tools that we can start working with straight away. After that, he'll take your questions. So send in your questions via the question and answer link or via the chat, and I will put those questions to Matthias on your behalf. Matthias, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Artie, for these invitations and for me the chance to reflect myself on this topic. And I must say, this actually is something quite important because I think we all find that there is a huge difference in our experience of when we do something with motivation or when there is a lack of motivation and we find it so hard to get things done. Whereas when there is motivation, like everything flows easily. I get my things done quickly, there is creativity, I do these good feelings, I create a good energy around myself, and this even pulls then the cooperation of others. So it feels like yes, this is life. Whereas when there is no motivation and I still have to do it, for example, maybe I do it, but I do it with a grumpy mood. I'm not in a good energy. Then lack of creativity also. I can't move forward so quickly. Others feel that, then they also don't feel like cooperating. So there is a big, big difference. And I was reflecting on my life. When did I experience like this height of motivation, but also where are these lows? And I find sometimes, and I'm sure you also had that in your life, maybe you can ask yourself, when were there moments in my life where I felt this flow of motivation, or when there was not even a question, am I motivated or not, but you just felt from deep within, I am going to do this, no matter how much effort it takes, no matter how much time it takes, and you just go through it. I remember I was maybe a bit more than 20 years, and I grew up in a small village. And in this small village, we had a ruin of an old castle. And then one day, I looked up to this ruin and I had a thought, but we should have a festival there. A festival for everyone, and it should be, the theme of this festival should be a middle age. And then I saw it literally in front of me, how middle-age music is played in this ruin, how everyone comes in costumes, middle-age costumes, how there would be straw on the pathways, and so on. And so I just knew, okay, we are going to do that. And because there is this kind of already vision, a fixed vision, it did happen then. But then also something else that I remember dearly was I was in Colombia, and I was walking in an archaeological site. That was San Agustin. Maybe someone of you has been to Colombia. And there, in this park, I met a very little man, very short, and he was selling little figures. And he invited me to his house, to his finca. And so I went along with him, and he showed me this very, very simple, a nice house, but very simple. And you could tell that he lives with very limited financial means. And I told him, with my limited Spanish at the time, I told him, but you have this little house here, and there's so many people walking by, you could have a little restaurant. I could bring you some beverages, and then you can sell that. Some part of the money you keep aside, you buy new beverages, and so it will give you new possibilities financially. So I was trying to inspiring him, and then I thought, yes, I'm going to help him. I went down the mountain, back to my hotel. Next day I woke up and I asked myself, did I really promise him that I'm going to help? But I have exactly 2 days left of my holidays, and I have very little money left. And I thought, no, I can't do that. But then something from deep within, a kind of voice that said to me, yes, see, this is how it always happens. You have a great idea, you have some noble purpose, and then you just give up on it. You don't follow it up. And I really didn't like that thought. And I said, I'm going to do it. I had 2 days. So in this little village, I had to find a carpenter to give me a piece of wood. I had to find colors, and then I was painting and drawing. And in Spanish, I wrote a little restaurant in the forest, and I drew. I painted a little house, and then I bought beverages, different beverages, and all on my shoulders, many kilos. I walked up the mountain and I made it back to this little man. And I don't believe actually that he would have been able to follow this up, even though I explained him. I even went to the neighbors telling them to support him. But it felt so good. It felt so good to me that I invested this time, this money, this energy, not for me actually, but for someone else. And I would say something shifted in me. And interesting enough, when I was looking after university, when I was applying for my first job, somehow it came about that I told this story when I was applying in the interview. And because of this story, I then got the job. So that was then a kind of a return, but another return was how good I felt. So these were situations in my life where I felt this kind of high motivation. But then I know very much also lows of motivation. For example, I understood that it's important to read newspapers. I understood that, and even when I studied economics, I knew for my studies I have to kind of read newspapers and then financial part, but I was just not interested. And it's difficult to say even, but why I'm not interested? Are you such a person who is not interested in stuff? But just from inside, no motivation. So what to do then? How can I achieve my aim anyway, even though there is no motivation felt inside? What to do? And so there is even a third case. So one case is we feel from inside a high level of motivation. And everything goes easily. We feel the energy and the creativity is there and so on. The other case is there is no motivation or very low level. I just can't feel it inside. What to do? And the third case in between is actually when I find I'm losing slowly my motivation. What I love to do, suddenly I don't love to do it anymore. Or what was easy, now it's more and more a strain, and it takes a lot of motivation, a lot of self-motivation. So what is happening here? And these are the thoughts I would like to take you through. And here I'd like to show you a little model, a simple model. So you see here is a high level of motivation. And here is a low level. So here there's a lot, and here there is only a little motivation. And when there is high motivation, probably it would look like this. It's really fantastic, these pictures. Like this little one says, and I am going to do it, cost it what it will. So a high level of motivation. Whereas this one, he's not so sure whether he's really willing to wash the dishes tonight. A very low level of motivation. So we know we know both states of minds. And so this is what we want to reflect on. How can we keep motivation high? And then the third question is, but why does actually our motivation drop? That's a very important question. What makes our motivation to become very low from high? And so maybe in your mind think of few situations where you feel, yes, I lost motivation, or I'm a rather low level. And so maybe you'll find some hints that could be helpful for you. So first is, I lose my motivation when there are doubts. doubts about the purpose, about myself. Can I really do it? I thought I can do it, but is it really possible? Or is it really needful? Is it really worth it? Others said, don't do it. Shall I really do it? And so to have, at some point, to have these kind of doubtful thoughts, I would say it's rather normal and it's not such a big a problem, but we have to stop it. It's like when you eat spoiled food. If you have one bite, in general, not a problem. You taste it, oh no, this is gone, and you immediately stop eating it. And the body, the immune system can easily take care of that, so nothing happens. But when you keep eating, even though it's spoiled, and then you have a problem. So same with doubts. When doubtful thoughts come, I have somehow to stop it. I have to replace it. Instead of I can't, you think yes I can. Or is it I don't think it's worth it. Yes, it's worth it. I thought about it. Or what others think it's not necessary. Replace it with but I know it is necessary. So we just have to put a stop to doubtful thoughts. Otherwise, if I let them linger around inside, it takes my motivation further and further and further down. And then it's on a low level, and then you think it's real. You think, no, I can't do it, and you feel it's real, I can't do it. But actually it's your own thinking that brought you to that point. So this is one thing that can bring our motivation down. Something else is the company I keep. You know, if I'm surrounded by maybe one person, cell person with a very, let's say, heavy energy, who are not motivated themselves at all, it can actually influence me. And it doesn't mean that I have to run away from these people, of course, but I just have to be aware that, yes, this person is very little motivated, is rather negative. So it's just to be wise. When I see that, it's a protection for me to be influenced. And if it's too much, yes, I can then also see how much space I need for myself. Or maybe I can turn it around and I can try to bring motivation into the other person. I can bring lightness to the other person rather than agreeing with what they say, going along with their mood. So no, I don't want that. I don't want to take the negative or the heavy energy from others. It will bring my motivation down. And then once it's down, it takes a lot of effort to come back. So this is something else. What else can bring my motivation down? Desires. Desires can take my attention away from my goal. So I give you an example. Sometimes I organize retreats or programs at weekends, meditation retreats or workshops, and I think it's I'm really sure that it's something very worthwhile for others, but also for me. There's a very good return for me, for myself. But then, let's say I see on WhatsApp pictures from my brothers who are in the mountains. Now what happens in my mind? Very quickly it could create desire in my mind. I want to be there too. Look how they can be nicely on a mountain, and I am here in the city. Inside I do this program. So before, high motivation, I see the importance, I see the purpose, And then only because I saw this picture, my mind reaches out. My mind has now a desire. I want that too. Or I should better have this. So you see, desires can bring my motivation down. And it's only a matter of being aware. So these are real examples I'm sharing. So I noticed, oh yes, this is actually happening to me. So what do I do at this moment? I have to replace your thoughts. No, I am here. And it's very important what I'm doing here. And I like doing it. But we come back to that later as to what we can do. So just reminding you of where we are at. So now we are thinking, reflecting on the question, what can I do, or what is happening when my motivation comes slowly or maybe even quickly down from a high level to a low level. So yes, doubts, I said, influence of the company, I said, desires, but also vices. Vices, negative tendencies. For example, anger. Anger can destroy my motivation. Or ego. I want to be the best. I want others to see what I am doing. So that, or attachment, all these vices. So we talk about 5 main negative tendencies. Even, when someone is thinking too much about sexuality, for example, it just brings the energy down. It's maybe not popular to say that, but it's really a reality. It hollows the soul from motivation, actually. Because motivation is a very fine, it's a very pure, it's a very high vibrating energy. And it can be destroyed by the negative tendencies. So another level, another influence can be that my motivation that I have can be at the beginning pure, and then it can be mixed. For example, I can also give my own example. I was organizing retreats, and then I tried to do a retreat for my personal income. And so suddenly my motivation was no longer the same. Before it was purely, let me organize that so people can benefit. I don't need anything for myself. So that was a pure motivation. And then very high level of motivation. But then I had this other motive. Now I want to make my income from that. And then literally I noticed how slowly my motivation is going down. Because there's now a mixture. And now a last reason I would like to mention what can bring my motivation down. I found that very subtle and very interesting. My motivation can loosen when I'm actually not doing what I'm supposed to do. And I noticed that in my profession, that I was very motivated to do my profession, and then suddenly the motivation goes down. So what is happening here? Or I would hold a responsibility, and I would do that with high motivation, but suddenly my motivation goes down. Probably you have also experienced that, and it wasn't either of the reasons I mentioned before. But what was actually happening is that the time to do that was over. Before it was right to do this job. and I did never want to change that. But suddenly it seemed that for some reason or another, this was coming to a close. Or the responsibility, maybe it's time to hand over a responsibility to someone else, maybe so that this person can have a chance and I am free to take on something new. And so if I'm not attentive enough to see this happening inside, I could hold on to this responsibility and keep doing it, even though I'm not motivated. Okay, I'll do it anyway. But actually it's time to let go. So that's also something to pay attention to. And now we come to the next question. So these were reasons as to why the motivation can come down. Now, we can, in this model, I would like to mention or to introduce two kinds of motivation. Many of you would have heard about that. One is intrinsic motivation that comes from deep within. You just feel the power and the energy and the will to do something. And you don't even know why, but it's just there, a beautiful feeling. Intrinsic motivation, the strongest form of motivation. So I call that the soul motivation. Because it has nothing to do with the body. So we are beings with an internal being, with an external appearance. And so this intrinsic motivation comes actually from the soul, from deep within, not from the body. And so then, beside intrinsic or soul motivation, we have also extrinsic motivation. I would call that substitute motivation. And that's also necessary, so we can actually play with both. The question is the following: if I find myself on a low level of motivation down here, what can I do to either bring myself up and feel the intrinsic, the soul motivation that comes from deep within? What brings me up? Or, if that is not possible, what can I do to still bring up my level of motivation? What can I substitute so that I feel the motivation to do it? So, when I'm reflecting, what brings me back to this very pure flow of energy inside where I feel highly motivated, I think often it's just a matter of, let's say you surprise yourself, but why? I actually love to do that. Why am I not motivated? I think often it's a lack of space. We need to create space again. Because our lives have become so full with tasks, full with responsibilities, full with thoughts, full with relationships, full of apps and mobile and programs, and there is very little space. And so if something is of importance for me, then I need to create space. First, in my timetable, so that I literally take this half an hour. I look on this side because I have my comfy chair on that side. So I need to have this half an hour to sit in my comfy chair with a cup of tea, and I just reflect. And I just think about, yes, what is it actually that matters? And what is the benefit? What do I need to do? And so I create space in my timetable, Second, I create space in my mind. I start thinking about it. And then automatically it creates space in my heart. And yes, I remember that's important and this is why I wanted to do it. So it's like the heart feels again the motivation. I think this is something very important actually. Something else, a little bit different, but during the day we just forget about it, or during the week, we are motivated to do something, but then we don't follow it up, and so it doesn't happen. And often it's because we just forget about it. Same reasons: too many apps, too many programs, too many thoughts. And so what to do here? In the morning, when I get up, I have to remind myself, this is important to me. And I think the thoughts, I am going to do that. I am going to do it. For example, let's say I set off for the aim, I want to be more peaceful in my daily life, in my daily routine. I want to be more peaceful at my work. And then I just forget about it. So that means at the beginning of the day, suddenly 10, 11, 12 times, I have to create these kind of thoughts. Today, no matter what happens, I am going to stay peaceful. I promised that to myself. This is my aim. I want to live a more peaceful life. It's important to me. So for 5-10 minutes, you make your aim very strong. During the day, remind yourself, and in the evening, you check. The aim I set off, did it actually happen? Where did I manage to be more peaceful? And so do that a few days, and then the aim will be more clear and the motivation will not sink. Another way to find back to the soul motivation is create a higher purpose. So, for example, when you have meetings and you're not motivated at all to participate in these meetings at your work, let's say, but still you have to participate. You have your team member, you have to be there. So now one way is to go there without motivation, and everybody can tell from my face, oh, this guy is not motivated, which is also not good. Or I can say, I go to this meeting, but my job is there actually to lift the energy of everyone, to bring a little bit lightness in the atmosphere, to bring a little bit enjoyment, creativity. So you see now, same meeting, same people, but now I have a higher purpose. And so this can bring up my motivation. And then self-talk, remember the blessings. For example, I was going to organize a retreat and someone said, but come on, do you know how difficult it is to find people for retreats? I tried it too, it's very difficult actually. So that was someone's comment. Another one she said, it will happen, it will happen. And then whenever my self-doubts came, I remembered these blessings, what this person said. She said, it will happen, it will happen. And I just kept repeating, it will happen. And immediately I would come away from the self-doubts. So that was really helpful, and also it was actually a good hint for me how I easily can be an instrument to lift someone else's motivation. a nice comment, an empowering comment will actually help someone go through a whole process. I say it once only, but literally it can stay with someone for days or weeks or even months. So that's the power of a blessing. Another method to awaken the intrinsic motivation, the soul motivation, is visualization. You see yourself how you have achieved it. And you see it very clearly, you experience it, and you describe it, how it feels. Power of the mind, power of visualization. And something very important as a last method, when you use your intellect, your understanding, and that can trigger or release the very pure soul motivation. Let's say you have to aim to eat less sugar and you find it very difficult. But I like it so much, I like this, I like that, how can I give up on that? And it's not easy, isn't it? I think we all have experienced these kind of things. But then take a moment to read something about what sugar actually does in your body. Or go to YouTube and look for some kind of film explaining the effect of sugar in your body. I'm just giving an example. And then you understand, oh really? Gosh, this is really happening? I didn't know that. I didn't know that this is that bad. So maybe I can really reduce half. And what before seemed very, very difficult, you can now easily do it because you have understood. And then from deep inside, actually the motivation comes. It's like the motivation has been there, but now through the new understanding, it's being released. The energy is being released. So these are a few hints as to how you can release this pure intrinsic soul motivation. But then sometimes that's difficult. Now, when I'm low here, what can I use to use? It's something I can use. Substitute motivation. There's nothing wrong with that. Let's say in your office you have to do some repetitive work, maybe once a month or maybe once a week or even daily. Some work you find quite difficult to motivate yourself for. Now, when you make that a kind of nice time, you say, okay, the work is one thing, but still I can have a nice time. So for this hour, you play some nice music in the background. You very intentionally go and grab your favorite tea and bring yourself in a good mood. And then you say, okay, now I just do it happily. So you create an environment around you with your tea, with the music, you change your thoughts, let me have a good time, and it will be a whole different experience. Someone shared with me that wherever she goes and starts working, the first thing she would do is she creates a nice atmosphere on the desk. It's so beautiful actually to be so mindful. So what also helps is fix a reward for yourself. Why not? You can say, okay, it will take me some time, but when I have done it, this is how I'm going to reward myself. This is extrinsic motivation, substitute motivation, and still it can help. For example, I shared with you the problem with a newspaper, especially reading about financial stuff, even though I did my My studies in economics, it's just absolutely not of my interest. So whatever I try, I won't be able to release a kind of intrinsic motivation, a soul motivation. It's not there. I have to be realistic. But I can say, okay, I will go through that. I want to finish my studies and I want to succeed. So, and this is then the substitute. So I do it for my studies, but you can imagine this doesn't last forever. You can do that for some time. And intrinsic motivation is what carries you through weeks, months, maybe years. And one last method I would like to mention for substitute motivation is you make it into a challenge. I quite like that. Nowadays there's a challenge for this, a challenge for that. For example, you don't like doing something, or you find it's a waste of time, but still I have to do it. You challenge yourself. Okay, can I do it very quickly? How fast can I do it? Still I do it in a good manner, in a good way, but let me do it quickly. So you make it into a challenge. Or can I do it? Can I go there into this meeting and just keep smiling and make everybody light? So it's a challenge. What is a burden? It becomes a game. I find that works quite well. So, and a last thing before we then do a short meditation. I think it's worthwhile to find moments in your life where you felt deep inside a kind of very high and pure motivation. And you ask yourself, what was actually happening at that moment? Where did this motivation come from? And you find some kind of soul purpose. Let's say you as a unique being on this planet. What is your purpose? Is it to make everyone's task easy? Is it to achieve something great in the field you are working? Is maybe your purpose to do networking, to bring people together? Or maybe is it to find about deep inner truth within yourself? So when you see the very special moments in your life where you felt a deep, not a showy motivation, but a deep motivation, a silent motivation inside, what was it that was driving you? What virtue, what quality, what aim? And then when you find about your purpose, then maybe you find, oh, I can bring that purpose into my family life, into my friend circle, into my business life. Whatever I do, wherever I go, I can live that purpose. And then we feel actually that time is not wasted, or every situation can contribute to my spiritual growth. So, these were a few thoughts. Now let's just enjoy 2-3 minutes of meditation. You may close your eyes, or you may keep them open slightly. And create a feeling of peace inside. Feeling of silence and peace. and create the awareness that I am absolutely unique. On this planet, among these 9 billion people, there is no one like I am. Everybody is unique. And I ask myself, what is the unique contribution that I have to make on this planet? What is it that I can bring into relationship, into situations? What is the energy that I can spread? Is it just to be loving? Or is it to be powerful? Or maybe both? Is it to help everyone to move forward? There is something in the soul that wants to be expressed. Something in the soul that can make a unique contribution in this world. And if I live up to this purpose, that will give me a very pure and high level of motivation. So maybe the next 2 or 3 days I can hold on to this question. What is my unique contribution on this planet? What is my soul purpose? Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Mathias. That was an interesting study that you put forward to us. Some of the things I'd never even considered, so thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
So let's begin with our questions, if we can. The first one is low motivation linked to feeling negative and depressed? And how does one deal with this?
I think feeling low, having sometimes low energy, having self-doubts, even to become negative sometimes, I think this is a challenge we all of us face sometimes. I think when it's going into depression, when I find that it's difficult to find motivation for anything, that everything becomes very challenging, everything becomes hard. And when my mood does not come up, whatever I do, and then I would say it's important also to see a doctor. Even to see, is there some physiological reason for that? I remember, for example, a teacher. She normally was really a kind of a rather enthusiastic person, but then she really lost her motivation and her energy. But then she actually found out that she was so low on iron that she just didn't have energy for anything. And so I think this has to be checked, and then we know that sometimes it's the biochemistry that can be mixed up. So this all needs to be checked. But then also what we anyway have to do is to check our thoughts and our attitudes. And this is what we can do always, to change my thoughts, to change my attitude. And so attitude is actually an accumulation of thoughts. So I make a very, very, very simplified example. If I find nothing is okay, nothing is positive, I change it around, everything is okay. I once did a meditation where I told myself half an hour, everything is okay, everything is okay. And so after half an hour, the feelings change, of course. You start feeling, oh yes, actually everything is okay. So, and then if you then continue that, even maybe a few days, and then the attitude becomes positive. So working on our thoughts, working on our attitude is always very important, I think.
That's interesting. The next question for you is, the person is saying that they've been trying to get a new job since their redundancy. But they've noticed their motivation is dissipating over time due to self-doubt and the repetition of being on the internet and sending applications again and again, which is reducing their motivation.
Right.
Even though they want to be at work, how do they tackle this issue? How do they push through this positively?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I think a very relevant question. I would say we also have to see the possibilities. So is there something I can change? Let's say I make my living with a job and I don't like doing it. So is there right now the possibility to change? Right now, maybe not. So what I can do is I can then use one of the methods I was showing. One is I can use extrinsic motivation. So I can, for example, when I remind myself again and again, I don't want to, it could sound too simplistic. Simplistic? I don't know, proper English. But if I remind myself, it's actually this job and that will bring my income, and this income will enable me to live a proper life. So sometimes we kind of it's not that we forget, but it goes down in our awareness. So I have to bring it up in my awareness. I'm so grateful I have this job and I have an income every month. I'm so grateful. So many don't have a job. So that can actually help cleaning out a negative, or let's say a polluted motivation or polluted attitude. So I'm so grateful, I'm so thankful I have that. And then also I can find another purpose in this job. Okay, the work is repetitive, but from my personality, from the soul, what can I bring in? Besides the mechanical work that I'm doing, what can I bring in? Can I make people laughing? Can I bring lightness? Can I bring solutions to people? Can I be so friendly that it's actually inspiring? You know, for example, today I had to go to a function. The function, yes, was not, for me, not super interesting, but in my pocket I had blessing cards. So these are cards with affirmations. So I would go to people and give them these positive affirmations. So people were very happy and we had good conversations. And you see, I made something that was not so meaningful to me. I brought meaning to it. So that's one thing. But then also something important is, how do I want to develop? So if I'm not convinced with what I'm doing right now, can I plant the seed now to do something so that I will be able to do something different, maybe in 1 year, maybe 2 years? Can I start developing a specialty? Can I start maybe a training or formation? So that's also something. Build new capacities. That's about what comes to my mind.
And what if you're trying to find a job and it has been rejection after rejection after rejection? Rejection is so much harder to deal with over a period of time. How do you deal with rejection?
Yeah, that's it really can be hard. I haven't experienced it, but I heard from different friends and who have experienced that, and I can imagine that it is very hard. So I think here also the attitude. So let me say positive, on the positive side, no matter what. So I think it's important to see the work, my applications, what I put in it, to see that not only as my whole life, but keep it as at least only a part of my life, and keep developing in the other parts. For example, it's very important. Let's say I don't have a job at the moment and I keep applying. It's very important that in the evening, for example, I tell myself at 6 o'clock I stop working. You could say, what, stop working? I don't have work anyway. But yes, you do. You think about this and you go through job advertisement, or you write on your applications or whatever, you talk about this with others. So at 6 o'clock, it's done. Otherwise, it's always on. And I think that's something very important. Basically, we could also say, never lose the self-worth, to see all the good things you are doing, all the qualities you have. And if you are very much in doubt, and I really mean that, when you're very much in doubt about yourself, then go to a friend and ask, what do you actually see good about me? Or ask your family, tell me what is good about me, and listen to that and accept it, write it down. What is good about me? So, and then see that not being able to find a job, see that in the context. This is today's world, this is the economy, this is the situation the country finds itself. So maybe to summarize that, try very hard not to become a victim of this circumstance.
Thank you. Seeing yourself in a bigger picture is what you're talking about.
I think so, exactly, yeah.
That's so powerful, because we do sometimes over focus.
It becomes the whole world, exactly, yeah, true.
Thank you. That was That was very, very practical and helpful. And I think in different situations for all of us, that would apply somewhere. So thank you very,
Sure.
very much. That brings us to the end of our evening. I'm so sorry we can't take any more questions, but thank you all for sending them in and making this evening very special.